So I wanted to kind of walk you through how I colorize a black and white portrait. When I was first starting to figure out how to do this, I couldn't really find any videos online that were exactly what I wanted. So I kind of had to use those videos and make up my own way. So I figured I would walk you through it and talk about it and give you a little rundown about the color blend layer, because that's mostly what I use for colorizing the portraits. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, here is my reference with my actual finished portrait. And I'll quickly go through each layer and add them back in. So this is the multiply layer to add some depth to his skin and the color layer over top of that. Then I have his shirt, his jacket, the first color layer of his hair, and then over top of that, a multiply layer. And then I have this glow dodge layer to add some more highlights. And two different overlays to kind of coordinate everything a bit better. So we've got the finished portrait. Let's talk about the color blend layer. For skin, I have been doing color. I have found that the color layer blend pretty much just works with whatever the hue is. So the hue here is this color, this orangey color. Let me create a new layer. Is this orangey color. The hue here is this green color. But, you know, both of these are 100% saturation, which is what it means when it's in the corner. Let me hide that layer. So now we just have this again. I'm going to put it to the color layer. Now, if I do 100%, let's do like this. Right, so that's 100% saturation. That is the pure hue, but that doesn't look like skin, right? So I know that that is too bright. I'm going to decrease the saturation by increasing the brightness. So, I mean, if I look at that color, I think that's closer to like my skin tone. If I put it here, that is a lot closer. It shows up a lot more like real skin. If I decrease the saturation and I make it a like browner color, these look almost the same, right? So let me color pick from this. That's almost the same color. Same with this one and this one. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one, but let's do this one and this one. Yeah, I mean, these are almost the same color. But if we go back to this and we change it to normal again, that's like a drastic difference in brightness, you know? So what I've found for this is that like, this is the like starting point, and anything outside of that, like lighter or darker, just decreases the saturation. Can I write it here? So it decreases the saturation on the color layer with the color blend. So if you want the bright color, you can pretty much pick anywhere in here, but if you want a more desaturated color, then come away from the saturation point, basically. And it seems to matter less whether you go lighter or darker. It's literally just looking at the saturation value. So if you think about paint, let's see if we can find a white. So I have the white here. Let's say I have a tiny bit of blue that I want to put in it. That is pretty low saturation of blue. That's a light blue, low saturation. But if I put more paint into it, then it's a higher saturation. So I believe the color blend mode works in that way. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please just try it on your own, and I don't know what else. I don't know how else to help you. I'm barely helping myself with this. Okay, let's go through the actual coloring process pretty quickly. I have 2 layers for his skin tone because I've found that to be the best way to get depth in the skin tone. Let me show you this. If I just have this color layer, even if I put it up to 100% opacity, it is still just not really the same. It's very, very light, and it's too light for his skin tone. And there's just something missing. Doing this multiply layer underneath gives that depth to his skin that just makes it match the reference a lot better, in my opinion. This color layer is more about hue than actual shadow and light. Here you have a little bit of light. Let's do this. Here you have a little bit of light just because I added it in and it looked good. I kept the more yellowy skin down here just because there's not a lot of blood that, of course he's a vampire, but there's not a lot of blood in the neck unless someone is like really, really flushed, and he's not really, really flushed. In the cheeks and in the ears and a little bit right here, you can kind of see in the reference that his forehead is a little bit pinker, honestly. So that's the color layer, which provides the information for the actual hues that are going to be laid over the grayscale. And let's remove this real quick. The grayscale layer has all of the information for shadows. You know, shadow right here, whatever. And this side of his face is a lot darker. But when you put the color layer on, it doesn't really... You can see it kind of reflects it. It's darker here, it's darker here, you know, on his eyes. But there's a lot that's missing in the reference, or there's a lot that's missing here that we don't have. Let's undo this. So, adding this, which was a multiply layer, multiply makes everything darker. So if we put it on multiply, we can see it's really dark. And I knew I would be toning down the opacity just to get it to a point where it looked good, but this adds a lot of depth to these shadows. If you put it on normal and bring it back up, as you can see, I have a lot of different colors here, so different lightnesses and darknesses, and on the multiply layer that works, or the multiply blend, it darkens everything so that we get to see these colors, but it's not just taking the color value, it's actually taking the lightness or darkness of certain things. If we change this from normal to color, we can see it looks honestly pretty crazy. Like up here, there's just too much red. Like, just too much red here. His nose is like too light. His ears are too light. Down here looks okay with the color at the very least. But it just doesn't look like his skin. So I've got that darker layer, and then if I add the color layer over it, then we get a lot more depth here that you just don't get when you use one or the other. I also want to show you my Daniel drawing because it's a different skin tone, and I used roughly the same idea for it. So if you see, I have 2 layers for the skin tone, which the first one is an overlay instead of the multiply, and the second one is the color. I probably could have done an overlay with Louis' portrait as well, but I played around with it, and multiply seemed to give me the best result. Let's put this on normal. Take it all the way up. You know, it looks wild, but these are the colors or hues that are actually there. And with it on color, it looks a lot more realistic. Let's look at the overlay layer as well, real quick. So actually, this is the same layer, just a little darker. This one is the darker one. And I just adjusted it with the hue, saturation, brightness slider, and I got pretty much the detail that I wanted, the rendering that I wanted. The color blend mode is a really easy way to color it, and I found a process that works for me. So hopefully this helps you a little bit. If you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully I can answer them. But this will be all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.